Hi, it's Meredith from Food at Heart, and I'm back with the fourth sense. One of my favorites, it's smell. Smell is the most amazing sense. It's definitely the one I get most excited about because actually a lot of what we call taste really comes from our smell. So this is again where the breath becomes really important in inhaling, in breathing through our nose and really getting a whole load of pleasure from those aromas, those beautiful aromas that you can have in your kitchen or when you're eating out. And like touch, there are actually two types of smell. There's orthonasal smell, which is our nose smell. There's also retronasal smell, which is our mouth or throat smell. So you can get those lovely aromas through your nose. So, lean over when you're cooking something or take a few breaths in from your food before you taste it. That's one type of smell. And I mean, you can smell all sorts of things. Some of the descriptors might be woody, warm, spicy, earthy, fruity, citrus, floral, burnt, toasted, nutty, smoky, sweet. There are so many different ways that you could describe this. So paying a little bit of attention is a good place to start because it gives you a sense of what it might taste like as well. But I mentioned there's another type of smell, which is called retronasal smell. What happens is as we eat, we chew, and we release the flavour molecules from the food. And as we breathe out, the breath is then forced, the air is then forced at the back of our throat with all of these flavour molecules and to our olfactory bulb, which detects them. So this again is when you're eating really fast, you can miss out on all of that. But it's also a really important starting point for how you can play around with flavours in the kitchen and thinking about how they work together. So the breath, it really, really is important. Smell is actually also linked to our memories. So you might have a food that you really remember well. I mean, and even though I don't even eat meat these days, one of my favourite smells when I was growing up was my mum's roast chicken. I mean, I can still just talking about it, I can smell it almost in the back of my throat. It was just delicious. And it's because our hippocampus, which is another small area of our brain, is very close to our olfactory bulb. And the hippocampus is responsible for sorting a lot of our memories. And so that's why we have a really strong connection between smell and memory. And again, it's why it's really important to pay attention to those smells and also why we can get so much pleasure from it. Today's mini meditation is all about breath and smell and thinking about what you can observe and things that you might not have even noticed before. So starting, as always, with a few slow, gentle breaths. Before you eat anything, I'd like you to lean over your food, whichever meal you're choosing, and just gently smell in with your nose. What do you detect? You might want to lift a piece of food closer to your nose, or if it's in a cup, if you're having a drink, you can lift that up. You might even want to pick it up if that's appropriate. I'm not going to work with soup, but with other things, you might want to, again, play around with that touch again, lifting up to your nose and breathing in. Do any of the descriptions of some of the aromas that I've mentioned come to your mind? Is it sweet? Is it smoky? Is it a bit burned? Just pay attention to that. I'm then going to get you, after this, to move into that throat or mouth smell. And again, rather than chewing really quickly, just to take very small bites of that food and pay attention to it. What flavours are you now detecting? What's in your mouth immediately? Does that change and develop? And once you've finished what's in your mouth, what are those flavours that are left behind? They're the kind of ones that we can sometimes miss when we're rushing onto our next mouthful. And you might think, well, maybe what happens if I add a little sprinkle of salt or a grind of pepper? How does that change things? But the starting point is really paying attention to what's in your mouth. So at the end of the day, make sure you do capture any of your observations. Again, if there were particular flavours that came through to you really enjoyed, make sure you note those down. And I'd love you to share them in the Facebook group, any thoughts that you've had as you go through this. I really hope that you get a lot of pleasure from smell. Hope you get excited about it in the same way that I do, and thinking about maybe, again, how you can add some more interesting aromas in your kitchen and into your cooking. So happy tasting, happy smelling, and I'm really looking forward to hearing all about the aromas and the flavours and the smells that you detected today. I'll be with you again very soon.